Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. This is Joe with the LSA, and I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar series. Today's webinar will explore our new initiative, LSA Certification, and will be presented by LSA's Wesley Young. If you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to post them in the question box on your screen, and at the end of the presentation, Wesley will address them. So, with that, let's go ahead and get started. Over to you, Wes.
Great. Thanks a lot, Joe. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to have you on. Again, my name is Wesley Young. I'm VP of Public Affairs here at LSA and the main contact for the LSA Digital Seller Certification Program. So just wanted to start with a few housekeeping matters first. We are recording the webinar, so you can always go back and listen to it if there's something you missed or something that you want to hear again. Obviously, you'll be able to see the slides as well, so if you have anything that you want to see again, you can go back to that recording. This program also seems to have attracted quite a few, or attention from quite a few non-members. So I wanted to very briefly cover just a few things about LSA. You'll see here a number of the services that we provide. Relevant to the certification audience is the fact that we've been around for over 40 years. We are a not-for-profit association, and we support both marketing providers and SMBs. Our SMB services include Marketing Bits. You see that at the top left corner. That's an online educational resource for SMBs, and related to that are our Marketing Bits boot camps. These are events we host across the country. They're one-day events where SMBs learn marketing basics, and if there's ever one that comes to a city near you, I'd highly encourage you to go check it out. I mean, it's very interesting to hear the feedback we get from SMBs about how they're dealing with marketing and what things they're struggling with. So that's been a great resource for us and a great audience for us as well. We also have our annual conference coming around next week. It's going to be in San Diego. It's not too late to register. The hotel is completely full, but there's going to be lots of great content, great networking, so please do check it out. Okay, so we'll get started here on the certification program. You know, we just launched this. I'm sure you're aware just a few weeks ago. We've gotten significant interest in it. And so today what I'm going to be covering is why the certification program is important, both for SMBs as well as for you, for the marketing providers. I'll share some statistics with you. I'll share how the certification program can help you, the value and the benefits that it'll bring you. How to get started in an application. We'll walk through some parts of the application. You know, I won't go through a comprehensive review, but some parts just to help you prepare for what's needed in the application. And then I'll cover some tips that will make the process smoother and more efficient for you. So the first question is, you know, why is the certification program important? Why is it important for you, and why is it important for SMBs? And you know, we've shared this statistic quite a bit in our promotion of the program, that SMBs get 24 calls a month from providers that are looking to sell advertising or sell other marketing services. And it's just become very difficult for SMBs to fight through all that noise and find a digital marketing provider that they can trust. You know, I think we haven't shared as much, though, kind of the first statistic, which is the 2015 number. And the significance behind that is that this problem, this noise, is just getting worse. It's from 2015 to 2016, that's a 60% increase in the number of times that small businesses are being contacted. So it's very difficult for SMBs to distinguish between providers, to know who is good, who is trustworthy, and who is not. So the other reason why the certification program is important is because we're seeing an ongoing problem and a growing problem with online content and trust. online content is just struggling with a trust issue. And I think that this statistic here really helps illustrate that. These statistics were from last year's presidential election. And so the first one is the 20 best performing election stories from major news sites were shared 7.4 million times. On the other hand, at the same time period, the top 20 performing fake election stories were shared 8.7 million times. This is data from BuzzFeed and from some analysis that they did. And so, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I wrote a column in Search Engine Land about just this growing problem of fake online content. It's just not just fake news. It's fake ads, fake audiences, fake websites, listings, fake reviews. And these are all things that impact the integrity of the marketing services that you're trying to sell. And I'm sure that everyone on this call probably has a story of a quote-unquote competitor that they're facing those stories would justify why SMBs are often skeptical of the industry. So we've seen that SMBs are just bombarded with calls. They don't know who to trust. And they're skeptical, maybe not of all things digital, but many things digital. We see this problem playing out not just during the initial sale, but of course after the sale. Churn rates are very high. And when you have sales and when you set expectations that don't match the product delivered, churn goes up. If you don't have good sales practices in place to make sure that the sales experience matches the experience they have after the sale, then you get churn. And of course, churn is bad for business. But here's some statistics that actually put some metrics behind that statement. These numbers came from Google. It costs 5 to 10 times more to secure a new customer than to retain an old one. And then, existing customers are more valuable because they're just more likely to buy again. Existing customers buy again 60 to 70% of the time versus new customer conversion rates of 5 to 20%. So together, these marketplace factors to us seems to beg for a solution. There's clearly a need. SMBs need help cutting through the clutter. Good players need help in distinguishing themselves. And just as a whole, when SMBs experience or have negative experiences with digital marketing or with the industry, it hurts everybody. So to us, the question was, how can we help and what would fix the problem? We conducted a survey among SMBs to see whether a certification program would be well received. The survey was done with 200 SMBs. It was done in November, and the answer was a pretty clear yes. The first question we had in the survey just simply asked, without any details, whether a certification program that would help distinguish ethical marketing providers would provide greater confidence in those firms. And 67% said yes, and only 12% said no. So we explored a little bit further what kind of a certification program should look like. We asked, who should be in charge or who should administer that kind of a program. And 56% said that they would prefer a not-for-profit organization, and 76% said that they would be more likely to trust the program if it were run by an established organization that's been around for a while. We then asked the SMBs, what standards should be included in this kind of a certification program. And the most highly rated standards that they said that they wanted as part of the certification program were those covering clarity of pricing and honesty. Honesty with regards to things that come up in the sales discussion, like expertise, credentials, past performance, and of course the services that are being sold. So there's a lot of other highly rated standards that they wanted. You see there, they want clear terms in the agreement. They want assurances that there will be a reasonable level of communication during the service period. They want to know that they want to clearly understand how, if they want to get out of that business relationship, how to do that. They want reporting. They want accounting reports. They want performance reports. So all of these standards that you see here and more are what we built our certification program around. And so the last question of this survey that we asked these SMBs was, okay, well, what kind of influence would this program have? So we asked them, with these certification standards in mind, how much would a certification program influence your decision about who to work with? And 80% of SMBs said that this kind of certification program would likely or highly influence their choice of marketing provider. So let me say that again. 80% of SMBs said that a provider's certification under these standards, under LSA standards, would likely or highly influence their choice of marketing provider. This was actually a really big surprise to us, even, this number. And you'll see that it's even skewed really heavily in the highly influential number. So, we think that the certification program will provide significant value and significant benefit to those who are getting certified. It's a first of its kind certification. It's most of the certifications out there are product specific or expertise specific. This program is really about how you operate, how you sell, and how you fulfill that. It'll help you stand out from the competition. It will not just help you stand out, but it's a recognition of that your business has passed a rigorous review and that your business meets high standards. This certification is not an individual certification like many certifications are, because it's based on an evaluation of your company processes. This is company-wide, so anyone in the company can reference this certification. You'll get a license to use our certification logo. There, you see it on the left there. It's a sharp-looking logo. And on any kind of interactive media, it will be linked to a landing page that we control that will demonstrate, if someone clicks on it, it'll show up that your certification is in good standing. We want to make it easy for you, so we will provide you with a sales resource that will help your team kind of maximize the benefits of LSA certification. So it's not going to be hard for them to learn. There'll be some kind of almost like a sales script that will help them introduce what the program is. Very, very short, 1 or 2 sentences, and then just some very simple answers if they have any questions. And as I mentioned, we have a growing presence with SMBs through our resources and events like Marketing Bits. So you will benefit from that exposure. So now's the hard part. The hard part, of course, is getting certified. And I say that half jokingly. I mean, it is important that the certification be meaningful. So it's not meant to be an easy process. In fact, one person who's gone through the application said that the application was difficult. But he also said he feels that that is a good thing. I don't want to scare you away. We are here to help you. We are here to help you get through that application. We believe that the standards reflect the best practices of good companies, and it's just a matter of showing it. So it does take some time to go through the application, but given the value, and again, that this is a company-wide certification, we think it's time well spent. So we do have resources on our website at thelsa.org/certification. If you're not familiar with our website, there's 5 pages to the certification section of the website. The navigation is there on the left, or by the other orange arrow at the top there with the headings. Probably the most useful resources for you would be the frequently asked questions, This is not a screenshot of that page, but the FAQ, and then on this resources page, the tips for completing the application will be very helpful for you. So to start an application, you do need to create a profile that will allow you to save your progress and then continue the application later. Since it is lengthy, we think that that's important that you be able to kind of break and come back. You'll receive an email with a link that will take you back to that application process. Once you start, or once you create a profile, this is the starting page. Perhaps the most helpful thing for you to do would be to download, once you start an application, or before you start an application, is download this PDF version of the application first. Kind of read through it carefully, understand what kind of questions are going to be asked, prepare some answers, gather information that you want to submit as part of your application. That will really make the process go, I think, much smoother. So you can return, once you've gathered everything, you return to this, click on the Begin Application button up there, and you'll start the application. So there's 5 main sections to the application. The first section focuses on sales and training. And the main gist of this section is for you to show us that your sales team knows enough to help educate the client, that your sales team helps clients find products and services that are suitable and that meet their needs, and just generally makes fair representations during the sales pitch. The second section, we look at some policies and procedures around client communication, client reports, and dispute resolution. Third, that your agreements with clients are clear and disclose all key terms. Fourth, that media buy is conducted within a defined scope of authority. And I'll cover that a little bit more in detail because there may be some confusion about that. But also that you abide by any third-party requirements for media buy, and that you set clear goals and objectives for your services. And then lastly, the fifth section is just that you keep any client data or confidential data secure. So this is how the next few slides will look at actual screenshots of the online application. So this is how it looks. This first page is just basic information. You'll see the Save button there on the left. Anytime you need to leave, you can click on that. It'll save your progress. We also auto-save your progress anytime you advance forward one page or one section within the application. You know, there's many places where you can, it's optional for you to attach documents as in answer to some of these questions. This is just one of the few required documents that we ask for. This is proof that you're registered to do business in the state where your principal place of business is located. So just wanted to alert you to that. This is starting the sales and training section, and so we have a few different forms of questions. These are the easy ones. This question just asks you for a commitment, yes or no, and then you'll see there's some questions that have check boxes that you just select which ones are applicable. But most of the questions, though, are a little more involved that do require some kind of explanation. So, for example, this question asks you to explain how sales reps are trained to educate clients so that they can make informed purchasing decisions. So here you're able to respond in several ways. You can explain your training, you can attach training materials, or you can do a little bit of both. And you know, so for example, within the sales and training section, there might be some overlap of subject matter between the questions, and if you do a really robust answer here in 2A, you might refer back to it in answer to some of your later questions, and maybe add a little bit more specific color to that question. But you can still rely on the main answer if the answer covers that later question as well. I wanted to let you know about this too, because just based on how the developer created this online application, you're not able to leave any answers blank in order to proceed. So if you do need to move on, just go ahead and type in a dummy answer. If a document is required, go ahead and just attach a dummy document. That will allow you to proceed, just so you're not frustrated about that. This is from section 3, policies and procedures in the questionnaire. This is 2 more questions that do require documentation. The first is client reporting. So if you provide accounting reports to clients, or you provide campaign performance reports, you can attach those. I don't need a specific client's report. You can attach forms or templates. One person actually gave me a login to their client portals. That was very nice because I got to see it all. But that's not necessary. You can just attach some samples. The second document at the bottom there is a dispute resolution policy. And we decided it would be overly burdensome to require formal written policies for every standard that's covered in this certification. We really just want you to show us meet these standards, that you follow the best practices. So this is the one exception to that. We do require a written dispute resolution policy. But if you don't, we did provide a sample. You can download it. It's in Word, so you can match your policy, or you can tweak it to match what you want to do or what you want to accomplish, or you can just adopt it. But that is something that we do require that you attach. So this is section 4, service agreements. This is the last required document that we have in the application. It's the form service agreement that you have with clients. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand. We're not requiring that you have a written service agreement with clients. We understand that a lot of agreements are made by phone or made by email. And in those cases, you can attach a phone script or an email template or whatever it is that contains the terms of the agreement that you make in confirming, when you sign a contract or your client agrees to hire you. I understand that there might be maybe some stock terms and agreements that are referenced in some of these documents, so that would be helpful if you attach those. But again, we're not requiring that you have a written, wet signature contract with this question. So this is the one question in the transparency section that I wanted to explain a little bit further. We know that the word transparency has been used in a number of different contexts, so I did want to explain this. The point of this question is just to make sure that it's clear what authority the provider has in buying media. What we think is risky is that if there's essentially an open account for media buy, if there's no restrictions, you can just buy whatever you want, that's what we wanted to avoid. And what we think is that instead that there should be some scope of authority, whether that's buying media to meet a specific revenue goal, or some kind of metric such as number of impressions, or having a specific monthly budget. So just explain how or where that you define that with clients, but that's what the purpose of this question is. So this is the last page in the application. I kind of skipped the privacy section. I think that's pretty straightforward. But here you check a box to acknowledge your submission is accurate. And we also have a box here at the end that's kind of a catch-all box that you can explain stuff. So within the application, if you answer no to a question, a lot of times that explanation box won't pop up, giving you a chance to explain why you're answering no. So if you need to, this is an opportunity for you to do that. So some overall general tips. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I think how much help reviewing the PDF version of the application will help. This might seem really obvious, but have the people that are in the right spots help you with answering these questions. I mean, someone might be able to answer a question in 5 minutes instead of you spending 30 minutes trying to figure out the answer. So allocate questions to the right people on your teams. Documentation doesn't need to be formal. You can use screenshots, templates, outline of your training materials, those kinds of things. So they are helpful to us to evaluate, so attach them when you can. If you can't, you can give us a clear description. That will suffice. That will work. If we need something else from you, we're going to ask it. We're going to ask you for it. So there will be some follow-up there if we need. Mention the catch-all box. So we're here to help you get qualified. Don't get frustrated. Contact us. We do anticipate that there will be some back and forth. This isn't a test. We're not just going to get your application form, review it, and then send you a rejection letter if it doesn't match the requirements. We're going to follow up with you. We're going to ask you questions. We may ask for some clarification or more information. So this is pricing for the certification program. We base the price on the fact that this is a company-wide certification in comparison to individual certifications that can cost hundreds of dollars per year per certification. So we also want to recognize some benefit for our members. So it is $500 a year for our members and $1,500 a year for non-members once you become certified. We thought it would be easier, instead of charging you up front and refunding the money if it didn't work out, that we just charge a flat application fee. So that is charged at the time you submit your application. I did want to, again, emphasize the benefits. Again, this is a single certification that is good company-wide. We think there's a lot of value to becoming certified and even going through the process of checking some of these things out for you. But in closing, and then we'll have time for questions and questions as well. But in closing, the marketplace is just more crowded than it's ever been, and it's very tough for SMBs to find marketing providers that they feel comfortable with. SMBs have told us that knowing a provider keeps to these standards will impact their decision when they're shopping for help with digital marketing. So we understand the certification process might be challenging, but it's worthwhile, and we are committed to a long term. We know that these standards are going to hold up over time, and we hope that you likewise will find it worthwhile.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thanks, Wes, for conducting today's webinar, and thanks everyone for attending. As Wesley mentioned, if you would like to learn more about the program or just have some general feedback, you can reach Wesley at wes@thelsa.org, and his phone number is also listed there. So with that, thanks everyone for attending, and have a great day.